Okay, you guys, welcome to class. Please look up at the board for our agenda today. We're going to start with a literary terms presentation. So I'm going to be introducing new material to you guys regarding tools that authors use throughout literary. It's going to help you as we go through our required material, like The Crucible, Romeo and Juliet, Beowulf, things like that. After that, you guys are going to do partner quizzes. So while we're going over the PowerPoint, you guys are going to be filling out flashcards. So please get your flashcards out now. The front of the flashcard is going to be the term I give you, and then the back of it is going to be the definition. If you need to, I also provided examples, and you can write down the examples as well. After that, partner quizzes, you'll use those flashcards and quiz each other on the brand new information. Once that's done, at the end of class, we're going to do an online matching game where you're going to match the term to the definition. We will go over that when it's time. But per usual, start every class with a brain teaser warm-up. So what comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? Think about it for about 10 seconds. All right, what do we got? What do you guys think?
I'm coming up empty.
Kelsey.
The letter M.
Oh my God, nailed it. All right, good. So our brains are warmed up, right? Okay, so literary terms. Why do you think it's important that we study these?
To help us understand novels.
Novels, right? Why else? Else?
To help make stories better when
Yeah.
you're writing them.
Makes it more entertaining, right? So a couple of the reasons, you guys already nailed it. Comprehension is a big one. So if you understand the tools used by authors, you can actually grasp their themes and concepts a little bit better. Also, if you can understand it and comprehend it while you're reading it, you can utilize them while you're writing. And at the end of the day, these kind of tools will actually make you a better communicator, whether you're arguing with someone or whether you're giving a public speech or just simply communicating with your partner. So that is why literary terms are important. This is the list. These are the 12 we're going to learn today. Excuse me. So the first one we're going to go over is antagonist. Go down the line. Let me know. Have you guys heard of any of these, or are you familiar with any of these?
I think with hyperbole.
Hyperbole. Yeah, what's that?
Because my parents told me that I use it a lot when I exaggerate.
Look at that. Perfect. Else, anything?
Antagonist.
Antagonist. Yeah, what's that?
Bad.
It's the bad guy. You led us right into our first one. Good job. So if you guys could write this word on the front of your flashcard. When you're ready, look up at the board. So an antagonist, she nailed it. It's the opposing force facing the main character or the hero of the story. So yes, this will go on the back. So examples of well-known antagonists include Lord Voldemort from Harry Potter, Sauron from Lord of the Rings, Napoleon from Animal Farm, and Iago from Othello, or also from Aladdin, the cute little parrot. But my favorite and the best one, Darth Vader, obviously. So the antagonist is the bad guy. You read a novel, you figure out one guy's bad, that's your antagonist. And in contrast to that, the protagonist is your good guy. But you don't need to write that down. So hyperbole, like Jake said, he nailed it on the head. A hyperbole is an exaggeration. The definition I want you guys to write: exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally. So some examples: I haven't seen you in ages, or I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. These are obviously exaggerated statements, but you say it when you are feeling in this type of way. When I was growing up, the one I heard all the time was, when mom finds out, you're dead. Obviously, one of the biggest things you guys need to understand is these statements don't need exclamation points to be hyperbole. Like the last one, when mom finds out you're dead, that's a very drastic statement. It's not to be taken literally, and it's just exaggerated. That's why it's a hyperbole, if that makes sense. Any questions? Cool. Okay, the third one is personification. Now, this one kind of speaks for itself. So it is the act of giving a non-human object a human quality or characteristic. So that's going to be the definition you write down. So, for example, the sun kisses my skin, or the trees danced in the wind. Can you guys think of any examples of personification? Raise your hand when you got it. Okay, so that's fine. I got one. So from Romeo and Juliet, the dad, when Capulet is speaking about his daughter, he says, "The earth hath swallowed all of my hopes." So this year we will be reading Romeo and Juliet, and he is personifying the world, saying it swallowed all of his hopes. The swallow being the human action. All right. So the next one, irony. Go ahead and write that on the front. So there are actually multiple layers of irony, different types, but I'm just going to give you the overview, and then throughout the year we will go dive deeper. So irony is a literary technique used by authors describing an event that seems deliberately contrary to what one expects and is often amusing as a result. That's the definition you're going to learn. So, for example, in Macbeth, King Duncan trusts Macbeth, but the audience knows Macbeth the entire time is planning his murder, right? And then Othello, another Shakespeare example, Othello trusts Iago, while Iago's storyline is actually him plotting against Othello the entire time. My favorite use of irony is actually The Gift of the Magi, where it's a married couple and they're down on their luck around Christmas, so They sell their most prized possessions to buy things for the significant other's most prized possessions. Basically, she sells her hair, she cuts her hair, sells it, uses that money to buy him a watch chain because the watch was his most prized possession. He sells his watch to buy her combs for her hair. It's a lot of irony there, but it shows exactly what we're talking about. Also, if you've ever seen Legally Blonde, there's a scene, opening scene. She opens up, she's getting ready. She thinks her boyfriend's going to propose to her. She looks great. They go to dinner. He dumps her. So that's how the movie starts. It's a classic. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. So term 5, parody. I'm going to kind of go over this one and the next one quickly because I want to talk about them more versus each other. So parody is an imitation of a writer's style or manner, typically for a negative purpose. That's the definition you're going to write down for parody. We're going to move on to satire, but do not put your parody flashcard to the side. We're going to take a little bit more notes on that when you guys are done. So the next one is satire, and that is an author's use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. Go ahead and paraphrase this however you need, but try to get that definition down. So what I wanted to do is go over parody versus satire, because a lot of the time these can get confused. So parody is an imitation of the work, while a satire just offers an opinion or critique about the world, maybe about politics, maybe about the way a government is running their system, whatever it may be. So when it comes to parody, things like Young Frankenstein, which is a parody of Frankenstein, or Monty Python and the Holy Grail, that's a parody of Arthurian legends. Animal Farm, so Animal Farm is actually satire because it's degrading and describing the USSR government's policies, the tyranny of it all, right? So that's what Animal Farm would be. Master and the Margarita, that talks about the ambiguity of good and evil. So it takes on real world problems rather than just imitating a work of art. Those are the differences. So foreshadowing. You guys think of what foreshadowing may be?
Leading up to something.
Right, alluding to something. So the definition you'll write down is narrative device used by the author to suggest, warn, or allude to upcoming events. So examples, it was a dark and stormy night. That tells you probably what's coming isn't going to be grand. The most famous example is in the prologue of Romeo and Juliet, where they discuss a pair of star-crossed lovers doth with their death bury their parents' strife. So once you guys get that down, we'll move on. Term 8 is parable. Now this is a short story used to convey a religious message or moral lesson. So can you guys think of any parables?
I know of one, but I can't think of the name.
Okay, would it be the prodigal son?
Oh yeah, Prodigal Son.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's one of the more famous ones. Okay, so 9 and 10, simile and metaphor. Again, these will be two concepts we'll be comparing. So a simile is a figure of speech involving the comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind, using the terms like or as. So she's as cute as a button, or he ran like a cheetah. For a metaphor, it's a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. So she's a couch potato, he has a heart of gold. These are obviously not taken literally, but it is a comparison.
Those are
Next.
separate numbers.
Yeah, these would be separate note cards. And this is all online too. This is in your Google Classroom. So you guys can always refer back to this if you have any questions. 11 is paradox. So a paradox is a statement that contradicts itself or that must be both true and untrue at the same time. So one of the easier ones to remember is less is more, or it takes money to make money. In literature, some of the most famous ones are the slogan used in Animal Farm. All animals are created equally. Some animals are more equal than others. That's a paradox in itself because it's true and it's untrue at the same time. In Hamlet, he berates his mom for what he believes to be infidelity. And he says in his speech, I need to be cruel in order to be kind. So that's a paradox in itself because you can't be cruel and kind at the same time. And our last one, juxtaposition. Have you guys ever heard of this?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
No idea. Cool. That's why I'm here. So juxtaposition is a rhetorical tool used by authors when they place two things side by side in order to highlight their differences, such as wealth and poverty, light and dark, beautiful and ugly. Again, paraphrase this as needed. Next are some examples of that. So in Star Wars, Kylo Ren, super dark, kind of scary. And then Rey is light and she's wearing white and everything around her is bright. In Scarlet Letter, she wears the A, bright red, while everybody else is kind of colorless in order to show the differences between purity and impurity. So those are your 12 terms. Do you guys have any questions? Awesome, great. So we are going to move on. You guys are going to now get into groups of 2 and begin quizzing each other with flashcards. Good job, guys.